Black Widow was written in 11 days.
Gracias por ver La Esquina de Jody. Thank you for watching Jody's Corner.
YouTube was good. It's your boy Jody Joe. Welcome to Jody's Corner. You can't make this shit up. This article was made in July of, it was like 6 months ago, so it was kind of hard to be found. That's why people are just taking stuff out of context and throwing clips on the internet. But I did track down the source of this article that lets it be known that Black Widow, that fantastic, amazing Marvel movie, was written, first draft, in just 11 days. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a whole entire $200 million production budget film made in just 11 short days. Well, let's get to the proof and the facts of the matter. It was a Variety article published on July 7th of 2021. But here's what's awesome to me. Don't forget what Marvel's intentions are, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, because it's in this article that I saw this headline and I knew this is what they were doing. More LGBTQ representation is coming to the MCU. Victoria Alonso says so. Keep that in mind. So often when you guys say, oh, Jody, you're just complaining about the wokeness and the SJW and all that, you're making stuff up. No, I'm pretty much saying what they have admitted to. This is an agenda. This is in their plan, a literal agenda. Like if there's an agenda on the wall, this is in it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. More LGBTQ representation is coming. And that's why we see it in our Marvel movies. We're going to be seeing it in our Disney Plus TV shows. We already have with this show, Loki, starting there. So, but let's get to the meat of why we're here, yo. So here's where it comes from. I also chatted with Black Widow screenwriter Eric Pearson at the fan event. He told me that he wrote the screenplay in just 11 days. Quote, We got our good bones down meeting with Kevin Feige, Brian Chapek, Cate Shortland, and talking to Scarlett Johansson a lot. She was phoning it in, and we were locking it into a document that was just like a blueprint. And once I know what I'm doing, I write fast. That was the first draft, but we did a lot of rewrites. That's the writer right there talking about it. Right there, clear as day, that this man wrote the Black Widow script in just 11 days, and I believe it to a T because the Black Widow script is awful. It is a simple, mediocre, college-based, 11-day written feeling type of movie. The whole entire movie has no complexity into it at all as far as emotion, heart, love. It has no Hawkeye. It has no other Avengers cameos in there. Has no ties into Infinity War as far as like showing her willingness to adapt into being the loving mother that she was in Endgame, showing little breadcrumbs of that. It really just didn't hit the mark that a lot of us thought Black Widow was going to hit, at least me. It was a story. It was just another story about just another Black Widow mission. That's what we waited 10 years in the MCU for, to finally get her movie, just for them to tell a story about just another mission somewhere, still talking about that goddamn Red Room without Hawkeye in it. So, in my opinion, I completely understand. It all makes sense now why Black Widow's story was the way that it was, because it was a first draft that was written in 11 days. And even though it had multiple rewrites, the backbone blueprint DNA of what that movie was written in 11 days. No matter what the rewrites come from, that structure, that initial idea still stands, because that initial first draft is built upon with rewrites. Its core DNA was written in 11 days. Now, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that that's irresponsible? Do you guys blame the writer? Do you guys blame Kevin Feige? Do you blame anybody? Do you think that movies are normally written in this? They're not. I'll answer that question. I remember there was a thing about Suicide Squad where there was a rumor about Suicide Squad being written in 6 weeks. And a lot of people were upset about that, because if you look at Suicide Squad, the David Ayer version, you will see that that movie was trash and the script sucked. And then when we came out and then when you believe the rumors that it was written in 6 weeks, you're like, oh, of course, that makes sense. It was only written in 6 weeks. Even 6 weeks is seen as a short amount of time to write a big budget, colossal universe-based film. So 11 days? That's not even 2 weeks. That's pretty jarring. So, in my opinion, this shows me that it's more about the agenda with the MCU than it is about writing a good film. You could get away with writing a script in 11 days, but just as long as we keep our eye on the prize, all will be okay. And that's exactly what it seems like to me. It seems like Feige takes responsibility here, because why would you allow a movie to be, in my opinion, I think Kevin Feige should have just stopped Black Widow in its tracks and just shelved it, or completely just rewrote and restructured and retooled and replaced that director, replaced that writer, just like he did Scott Derrickson, who was doing Doctor Strange initially. And simply because Scott Derrickson, who was very talented, was going to make the first horror Marvel movie, and Kevin Feige didn't want that because it's too adult and he wants to make sure that he makes movies for kids, he fired him, replaced him with Sam Raimi. If your stuff isn't in alignment with what Kevin Feige's vision is, he will replace you. That's okay, I understand it. But the problem that I have is most of the stuff that's in alignment with Kevin Feige are PG, SJW, LGBTQ representation, more blacks, more Asians, more natives, just seeing the colors and shit rather than actually making a good film. Because I feel like one of those red flags that Kevin Feige should not be okay with is movies being written in a mere 11 days. I feel like something like this is something that Feige should be like, yo, just like LGBTQ and all this is on my, you need to take some more time and crap. And when he read the final draft, I could only imagine what the first draft was like. If the final cut of the movie turned out to be what we saw in Black Widow, that bad story, I can imagine how terrible the first draft was. So for the fact that Kevin Feige allowed a lot of this stuff to happen, Victoria Alonso as well, and others who were involved with the creation process of this movie, I feel like blame rests on their shoulders, and I feel like they're just slacking a bit. It just shows that Kevin Feige is in cruise control. Guys, Marvel fans, I'm a Marvel fan. Kevin Feige has one hand on the steering wheel. He's leaning back. His window is down. One arm is hanging out the side. He got some stunner shades on and a blunt in his mouth. He chilling. There is nothing to be worried. He ain't nervous at all. The beginning of the MCU, 2 hands, seat all the way up, all the way. He's super focused. Red Bull in one hand, 5-hour energy in the other, making sure he's on point because he had a lot to lose. Now, the ship is running itself. The machine is running itself, and Kevin Feige is in the driver's seat collecting checks. And you know what? If I'm him, that's a nice, sweet gig, Feige. But as far as us, the fans and the consumers, we're the ones that are getting his bullshit. We're the ones that are getting the scraps of what he's leaving over because his attention and his both hands aren't on the wheel per se. That's just how I feel about that. I think this is a little bit disappointing to know, and hopefully they won't do this. They will. But listen, I've learned this a long time ago when it comes to Marvel. You have to be, there's Marvel fanboys who just love anything Marvel. Like, for instance, let's talk about the Hawkeye trailer. That trailer looked trash, and people said, Jody, but it's just like the comic, and it's a great comic. So what? Does that mean that the trailer's good now because it's comic accurate? No, you still have to make a compelling trailer. That trailer was trash. I didn't like it. That's my opinion. Comic books don't save that. It could be the most comic book accurate 100% and still be a trash trailer, my guy. But this is how it is. A lot of MCU fans don't like it when you critique shit that they love. And I've learned that just being on YouTube. When you critique something that someone else loves, they're going to hate you for it. Like, genuinely, disdainly dislike you for not liking what they like. And that's just YouTube. It's weird as shit, but it's YouTube nonetheless. So when I look at these situations, I've looked and I've learned that being a Marvel fan, I'm cursed because I'm a Marvel fan who likes cinema. Those don't mix. I'm a Marvel fan who loves the MCU and is also a fan of cinema. That's oil and water, black and white. That's freaking Keebler and Kellogg's. That's freaking Coke and Pepsi, Xbox and PlayStation. It just doesn't work. So I love the MCU because I'm a fan, and then I love cinema, but the MCU is not cinematic, so it's like, so I have to critique these movies as such. Therefore, MCU fanboys who just love the fact that it has the Marvel logo on it and it's got Marvel characters they love. They're blind to it. They love it. They love the shit. But I can't look through those rose-tinted glasses like that. So what I've learned is, as a solution, I know that Marvel's going to release mediocrity. And I could see a mediocre film coming for the most part. I'm just waiting, kicking back. Every now and then, Marvel will release like 3 to 4 formulaic MCU movies. Every third or fourth Marvel movie tends to be a golden gem. Like your Black Panthers, like your Avengers 1, like your Civil War, like your Winter Soldier, those type of movies. I believe that we're going through some mediocrity right now. Even though Eternals is pretty darn good. I liked Eternals. Black Widow, Captain Marvel, you know what I'm saying? Some people would put Far From Home in that category. I like Far From Home. Eternals is coming. That's going to be the one I'm waiting for. I believe Eternals is going to be the best MCU movie. And that's the gem that I'm waiting for. So I've learned to just go through the 3 mediocre movies until I get my gem. 2 to 3 mediocre movies, then I get my gem. Sometimes you get back-to-back gems. Hey, it's in order. There's no order to it. So that's how I do it. That's how I consume the MCU, guys. And it's just a shame that movies that I love and adore, especially characters that I love and adore, like Black Widow, her movies are being made in 11 days. You know, the first draft being written in 11 days is quite disappointing. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out this thing. Deuces.